Good morning, everyone. It's me, Angel Benton, and it is time for another edition of Angel Sudsy Recap. I'm switching things up a little bit, and I'm doing this recap in the morning because I've got 4 of them to do today. I know, it's just I've just been so busy with work and with marathon training that I haven't had the chance to do the Sudsy recaps, but I'm getting a chance now to catch up. Speaking of marathon training, I was marathon training 2 days ago, and I swear to God, it was like I had a sign on my head that said, "Come talk to me," because okay, let's go back a little bit. So my best friend, one of my best friends is Brandon Baker. I know you've heard me talk a lot about my best friend Shane, and we've been best friends since 1997, but my best friend Brandon Baker and I have been best friends since 2005 when we met. So, I'll mention him a lot too, and we used to live together, and he used to always go make friends with the neighbors, right? Which I didn't think was, all that crazy. Lisa thought it was crazy, our other roommate. She thought it was crazy, but I didn't think it was all that bad. But it was a little strange. I did think it was a little strange. Well, God, I totally was putting on my Brandon Baker hat because I was just making friends with the neighbors all over the place. And I'm trying to run. Like, I'm in here trying to get my workout in. I'm trying to run. And this old lady's like, "Oh, can you come help me?" I'm like, I guess. I mean, who can say no? She was like at least 70 at least. She was an older lady. And so she needed me to help move her car battery from one car to another, so I did that. And then she asked me to carry her groceries up the stairs, so I did that. And meanwhile, the bitch driving the car that she was with just sat there and laughed. She was able-bodied. She couldn't have been older than in her 40s. I'm like, really? Okay, you can laugh at me all you want for having a kind heart and helping people, but that's kind of fucked up. Anyways, moving on. Sorry, and then, as I go down the road, random guy at the bus stop asks me how many miles I'm doing and talks to me about running. I'm going, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? Who cares? And then these 3 ladies, look like church ladies on the corner. They're like, "Can you tell us how to get to Charlie's Las Vegas?" I was like, well, okay, first of all, it's hilarious because there were 3 church ladies. They look like church ladies, right? They were asking how to go to Charlie's Las Vegas, which is a gay bar, a gay country western bar. I'm not one to judge, so I was like, sure, if you go straight down Arville and then turn left on Bell, it's on your right-hand side. I mean, I know where Charlie's is. I've been there many times. I'm not a church lady, but, good for them. Who knows? Maybe they were lesbians. I don't know. But it was really annoying for my workout time because, I had to stop and have all these conversations with people. Jesus. Okay, anyways. So, today we're talking about the Real Housewives of New York City. So, I'm trying to show you my bed head, but I kind of tried to tame it a little bit. It was really bad this morning. Anyways, okay. So, the Real Housewives of New York City. So, this week was the week that they all went to Mexico, right? So they go to Mexico, they get there, and they get to the villa. And the first thing that Sonia and Ramona do, as they always have done, is that they went and tried to do a room grab, right? Dorinda and Bethany both were not having that shit at all. They were like, that's not how it's going to work this time. We're going to draw straws, and then whoever draws the straw, whatever, right? So they all draw straws. Tinsley draws number 3. Now, then he says, you know what? Bethany organized this trip. I'll switch with Bethany so she can have 3. So she gave it to Bethany. Here's the thing. This is the thing that I need a little bit of clarification on because, it was a point of contention in the episode that, it wasn't Bethany's trip. It was a group trip. Well, that's what Ramona said at least. And Bethany's like, I organized this trip. Notice she didn't say, I'm paying for this trip. She said, I organized this trip. So that makes me wonder, how much of this was actually paid for by Bethany and how much of it was paid for by production? Because they know they want a good show, right? You know, that's one of those things where it's like, okay, it's one of those things where you feel like, okay, well, the production isn't being 100% honest with the American people, and they're kind of leading them to believe a certain thing when that's actually not what happened, but they're not outright saying that that's not, you know, they're not outright lying. It's a lie by omission. How about that? Let's put it that way. So that's kind of, that's a little bit, you know, and even though Ramona is a fucking nutbag, and she is a nutbag, if that's the case, she had a point when she was saying, you know, this is a group trip. Well, if Bethany isn't paying for it, even if she did organize it, I mean, that goes kind of back to the whole Real Housewives of Potomac. Who's hosting? Is it Karen or Charisse? Who gives a shit? Who's paying for the god? That's what I want to know. That's, if I was on a trip with these ladies, or with a group of anyone, I'd want to know who's fucking paying for this shit. Because if someone else was, if I had to pay for it myself, then that's fine, but fuck you and your rules. I'm getting whatever the fucking room I want, right? Now, if I'm not paying for it, if anybody else is paying for it, then whoever did pay for it, they'll get the last word. But, you know, this whole bullshit with Bethany and Sonia and Ramona, I mean, and Dorinda, I mean, so they ended up, you know, they just took out Ramona and Sonia's bags. I loved it. I loved it. They just took them out. Dorinda took them out, and she fucking padlocked that door. Good for her. I mean, Dorinda was pissed. She was over it. And then they all got their rooms or whatever, and Ramona still was complaining about her room. Oh, it's so far away, blah, blah, blah. You know what I find interesting is that after the episode aired, she wrote a blog, and you know, this is where you can, so this is kind of a generational difference between the Housewives of New York and, let's say, Below Deck Med. The Housewives of New York still use the blogs, and they don't really use social media to its fullest because it's a little bit, I don't want to say it's younger than them, but it's just not necessarily their bag, right? Whereas Below Deck are young kids, I mean, obviously, and then they also really use social media to its fullest, especially Twitter. And I'll be talking about that during my Below Deck recap next week. But it's a very interesting contrast to see how, and even the media that the Housewives of New York do use, it's older, like blogs. Like a lot of people don't read blogs anymore, you know. So Ramona wrote this blog, and she was like, the truth is that every single room in that place was great. Wow, really? Okay, because all we did was for the past hour had to listen to you bitch about your room, and now you're saying everything was great. Okay, all right. So then they all have dinner. Now dinner was at 7 o'clock, right? 8:45, they call Sonia and Ramona. They're waiting, and they're like, oh, we're doing our makeup. Now see, that is actually on Bethany and them. Bethany, she didn't get up there till 8:30, right? If dinner was at 7, well, whatever. First of all, who set the dinner at 7 time? Because if dinner's at 7, I mean, that's a little bit rude to the staff who had to cook the dinner. If they had to, you know, keep it until, I don't know. I wasn't there. So it looks like if I was the staff that had to cook dinner at 7 o'clock and my guests didn't show up until 8:30, I would be pissed. And what's funny also about Ramona is that when she first got there, she had this laundry list of demands for her people. And she was like, you know, when I get there, I tip the wait staff and I make sure that they take good care of me. Well, later, Countess Luann was on, and I gotta give Luann credit for this one, because this one was funny. This was really funny. She was talking about Ramona, and she burst out laughing. She was like, did she honestly say that she tips our help? Really? She's like, have you heard of the tipsy girl? Yeah, that's not her. I was like, oh. Wow, okay. And then the whole evening kind of just devolved from that point, and Tinsley brought up, you know, that she's really upset that there was a story in the New York Times about her being an ungrateful house guest, and that she's never gotten Sonia a gift, and she was really kind of devastated, and she started crying, and that kind of made me upset. I don't like seeing her cry. Now, granted, there was alcohol involved. Everyone was drinking. But still, you know, I've gotten drunk and did a tearful Sudsy recap many times. No, not many times, just one time that was really bad. But, you know, you don't like to see someone in that much pain. It's really bad. It's really, I don't, you know, when the tears came on, you know, she is not Ramona who, you know, constantly, you know, cries about certain things. Like when Bethany was like, the waterworks aren't going to work with me. I really don't care. And so, no, if it had been the first time Ramona had cried, I would probably been like, oh, Bethany's kind of a bitch. Well, she is kind of a little bit of a bitch, but, you know, whatever. But, you know, with Tinsley, I don't know. I felt so bad for her. So I'll be glad when she moves out, because this has not been a really good situation for her at all. So we'll see how, oh God, and then Luann got so drunk. She was falling down drunk. Luann, who has a wooden leg and can drink alcohol like no one's business, was just falling down drunk and was hilarious. I'm not going to lie. Because she wasn't hurt. She didn't hurt herself, but she was like just falling all over. It was, oh my God, it was so great. Anyways, thank you so much for logging on today. I do appreciate it. Please feel free to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Angel Benton. You can hashtag RHONY or Real Housewife shit to talk about the Real Housewives of New York. Next week, programming note, I'm not doing a Sudsy recap on the Housewives of New York. The reason why I'm in Los Angeles, as you can tell by my beautiful colored background, is that I'm going to a Passions fan club lunch. So next week will be a Sudsy recap on Passions. I know that show's been canceled for a while, but I don't care. I love that show. It was my favorite. And you can also hit that little subscribe button on my YouTube channel. And just 2 days before the premiere of the Housewives of Auckland. Actually, it's today, but I'm doing the recap in 2 days. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful night. Peace out. Wubba, wubba, wubba.